Hallo Studenten, I'm Frau Hannah, your German and English language instructor. Today's class will focus more on cultural knowledge as we discuss some tips I have for your next trip to Germany based on my own experience living in Germany. As always, if there are any questions, please post them to the discussion thread marked questions. Questions show we are engaging in the content and help us to strengthen our understanding, so don't be afraid to ask. As well, I always welcome constructive feedback. Please leave feedback in the discussion thread marked feedback. Without further ado, let's get started with today's lesson. The tips we'll be discussing today are Teegut, Stillwasser, direct and blunt, cash, pollen, as well as exchange and immersion programs. The first tip we'll be discussing is Teegut. Teegut is a grocery store chain in Germany. It is the perfect place to go for groceries, but more specifically, if you have any food allergies and or restrictions. I am lactose and gluten intolerant as well as a vegetarian, so my diet can be difficult to manage. However, shopping at Teegut made it easier. That is because there are so many options for those of us who have dietary restrictions. I think I had some of the best gluten-free bread while living in Germany, and gluten-free bread can be either a hit or a miss. I also found it cheaper in Germany than I did in Canada. If you don't have a Teegut near you, then a Rewe or Bio company is the next best thing. Those of you who have lived in Germany, would you agree? Did you have a similar experience? The next tip I have for you is Stillwasser. Germany loves its sparkling water. I usually don't enjoy any sparkling beverage, but German sparkling water is a whole other thing. I recommend you give it a try while in Germany. Germany categorizes their sparkling water by the feel of the bubbles. There is original, which means mit Kohlensäure, meaning with carbonic acid. Then you have medium, that is wenig Kohlensäure, meaning less carbonic acid. Next, there's sanft, that has fine perlige Kohlensäure, meaning fine bubbles of carbonic acid. And finally, natural, which is ohne Kohlensäure, meaning no carbonic acid, which also means still water. When asking for water, let's say at a restaurant, if you don't say Stillwasser, it's very likely you will get sparkling water, as that's the norm in Germany. So if you don't like sparkling water or you don't want sparkling water, make sure you ask for Stillwasser. The next tip comes from the cultural differences I experienced. What Germans see as polite can be very different from what other cultures deem as polite. As such, Germans can come across as harsh or cold to foreigners. This is because Germans are quite direct and blunt in their interactions with others. To Germans, being direct and blunt in communication is seen as being genuine, which is seen as being polite. Beating around the bush or telling little white lies is seen as fake and deceptive, which isn't polite. So, in German culture, if you don't want to go to a party, it's okay to just say no instead of making up a reason as to why you can't go. If you don't enjoy the food that was made, it's okay to say so instead of pretending to like it. It's actually thought to be more polite to do so. Something that I struggled with in Germany was how much and how often Germans use cash instead of cards. Most Germans are still quite concerned about data privacy, so says my host mom, and so most Germans prefer to use cash and or do physical paperwork instead of online banking and or online programs. When I taught in Germany, I remember the attendance for classes was still taken on paper and sent down to the office instead of doing it digitally. With that said, I recommend you always carry at least some cash with you in case you find yourself shopping in a place that only takes cash, as digital money is not always the norm. This next one is very important if you have seasonal allergies. Germany is very eco-friendly, so they have a lot of nature inside and outside of the cities. With that comes all types of pollen. I remember having such terrible reactions when I was visiting Berlin. It made it quite difficult to enjoy the trip. The allergy medication in Germany isn't like the allergy medication back home, so if you have a brand that you regularly use that works for you back home, bring it with you. You'll thank me later. The final tip I have for you today is regarding exchange and/or immersion programs. My tip is go on that exchange and/or immersion program. If you are considering going on a program like this, do it. It will be one of the most life-changing things you do in your life. There is so much benefit to investing in your learning, to experiencing other cultures, to meeting new people, to expanding your worldview and overall perspectives. You'll create lifelong memories, learn so much about yourself, the people around you, and the world in general. It is worth the time, worth the money, worth the effort, the investment. It's worth moving some things around in your plans, getting time off work, getting time off school. It won't be easy, and it won't be amazing every day, but it will be so worth it in the end. This is the photo of the students who went on the immersion program I went on recently. If you want to hear more about my time on an immersion program, read my article in the description below. That's it for today. If you have any other tips, feel free to share them in the comment section below. As always, if there are any questions, please post them to the discussion thread marked questions. Questions show we are engaging in the content and help us to strengthen our understanding, so don't be afraid to ask. As well, I always welcome constructive feedback. Please leave feedback in the discussion thread marked feedback. To continue learning German and English with me, subscribe. I hope to see you in my other classes. You can check those out on my Skillshare and Instagram. All links will be in the description below. It was a pleasure being your teacher today.